Buen día. Ahora voy a hablar sobre los demostrativos, que tenemos adjetivos y pronombres que son demostrativos. Entonces, esta es la última sección de gramática de lección 6. Bueno, continuemos. Y los adjetivos demostrativos, ante todo, in Spanish, just like as in English, demonstrative adjectives are words that demonstrate or they point out nouns. Demonstrative adjectives are different than many other adjectives because they precede, they come before the nouns that they modify. But like other Spanish adjectives that you have studied, they also agree in gender and number. Okay? And so we'll observe these examples and study the chart that's not necessarily on the next slide, but in a couple slides, actually. Okay, so we see things, for example, like esta camisa, ese vendedor, and aquellos zapatos. Okay, so we have three types of demonstrative adjectives. To determine which one to use, you must establish the relationship between the speaker and the noun or nouns being pointed out. And this can be by either physical distance or time. Okay? So let me show you an example of physical distance. Okay? So here we have our speaker, and here we have our listener. So when we have a close relationship to our speaker, many times we'll use the words either aquí or acá. Okay? When we're a little bit farther away from our speaker, we might use ahí. And when we're further away, more of a distance, we have allí or allá. Now, when we're close to the speaker, the demonstratives that we use are going to be este, esta, estos, or estas. Okay? When we're a little bit further away from our speaker, we have ese, esa, esos, and esas. Now in English, we just have this and that, these and those, and we leave it at that. But in Spanish, we also have like that or those way over there, which with ahí and allá, we would use aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas. Now again, I mentioned this could also be temporal in time. And so, for example, you all being young, if you're talking about your childhood, you would say en esta época, in this time. Now, if you're talking about your parents' childhood, you might say en esa época, in that time. And then when you're talking about your grandparents or your great-grandparents' childhood, that's further back in time, you would say aquella época. Okay. Now, to distinguish between este and ese, or esta and esa, etc., there's this little phrase in Spanish, this and these have the T's. That and those do not. So if you notice, the forms for this and these all have the T's. Este, esta, estos, estas. But that and those, ese, esa, esos, esas, as well as aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas, do not have the T's. So hopefully that will help you distinguish, particularly between este and ese. Okay. And here again, this is just from the text, from the program, the list of the pronouns, both singular, plural, masculine, and feminine. And some examples, unos ejemplos. The demonstrative adjectives, este, esta, estos, estas, are used to point out things that are close to the speaker and the listener. Oh, me gustan estos zapatos. Ese, esa, esos, and esas are used to point out things that are not close in space or time to the speaker, but they may, however, be close to the listener. Like, oh, prefiero esos zapatos. Now, aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas are used to point out things that are far away from both the speaker and the listener, like aquel auto es de mi hermana. Okay, so it's further away. Now, we also have demonstrative pronouns. And demonstrative pronouns, they actually are identical to their corresponding demonstrative adjectives, with the exception that traditionally they carry an accent mark on the stressed vowel. And the Real Academia, which is the one that decides proper Spanish, they have decided that, you know what, the accent mark is really no longer required, but however, it is still commonly used because that has what it has always been used in the past. But that is changing as we go on. Okay, so here are the demonstrative pronouns, and you'll notice the differences with the accent mark. Este, esta, ese, esa, aquel, aquella, estos, estas, esos, esas, aquellos, aquellas. Now, here we see how we can use the pronouns. First, we'll ask some questions using the adjectives. ¿Quieres comprar este suéter? And then our answer can be, we can use the pronoun to replace este suéter with este, or ese suéter with ese. So no quiero este, quiero ese. Another example, ¿vas a leer estas revistas? Okay, so we can, substitute estas revistas by just saying estas. So in our response, sí, voy a leer estas. And we're also adding on, también voy a leer aquellas, which is referring to aquellas revistas. Okay, so they're pronouns. Pronouns take the place of the noun, and in this case, it's the noun and adjective together. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And those are the demonstratives. Now, you may see them on your exam in the writing or in the reading section. You may hear them in the listening section, but I have not written the exam yet. I am pretty sure I am not going to put a section of this on the test, but like I said, you need to recognize it because you may see it or hear it, but there won't be a specific section over this. Okay. Bueno, nos vemos en clase entonces.